I love what Detroit is doing. I agree with Danny. They're going to keep it going. They are going to keep it going. I was impressed with them last year.
Yes, you did. You said that on the air, sir.
And
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast, the authentic voice of sports leadership where coaching wisdom meets real talk. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, here on site at the Open Doors Bowl Series at scenic Canton, Ohio. On today's Wind Up Wednesday edition, segment 1, a lot of NBA injuries. We're going to talk about it with our panel and see what they think from a coaching and a playing standpoint. In segment 2, it's November and coaches are already getting too emotional. We'll see if we can calm them down. And in segment 3, WNBA CBA update. The end of the month is coming. You better do something. So let's go ahead and get started. With us today, the coach's coach, Alfred Johnson, and the one who got away, put me in retirement, Danny Thompson. Danny, I'm going to start with you. The Eastern Conference, we've got Pistons, Raptors, Cavs, Heat, Knicks, and 76ers, with the hottest teams being Detroit and Toronto. Anybody this week catch your eye in the East?
Surprising enough, that second team you mentioned, Toronto, I'm surprised by how they're playing right now with them getting Brandon Ingram and his scoring outside of his mishap with the water bottle. They're playing pretty well right now. They're starting to gel at the right moment. Again, it's still November. I want to see how they do once January hits and teams start revving up to get ready for that playoff push. So like January, February, I want to see where Toronto goes after that. And then I wonder, as much as we talk about that top group that we're looking at, can New York find a way to salvage and bring this back up? I know we keep mentioning New York. I mentioned New York beginning of the season because that's been the talk for the entire summer. What is wrong with them right now? Because they're supposed to be the big bad team in the East right now, with Boston out and Milwaukee coming down, Indiana coming down, but we're looking at Detroit and Toronto right now. Now, Detroit, I think they can keep this going. I still have my reservations about Toronto, but I'm liking what they're doing right now because of the way you see that Brandon Ingram is playing well. RJ Barrett, who New York let go, he's doing well for them. And then let's see how Scotty Barnes is doing as the season goes on, because he's been on to be consistent for them over the years he's been in Toronto. But let's see how it is now that they are one of the top teams in the conference.
Yeah, so Coach Johnson, first and foremost, congratulations to your Sixers still putting out a roster every game. What are you thinking about the East this week, sir?
I love what Detroit is doing. I agree with Danny. They're going to keep it going. They are going to keep it going. I was impressed with them last year.
Yes, you did. You said that on the air, sir.
And let's remember, 2 years ago, they had lost, if I'm correct, 27 in a row. They're going to have a chance to actually turn that around and win 27 in a row. I wouldn't be surprised. Right now, they're up to 12. They have a great nucleus. I love what Jalen Duren and Cade Cunningham is doing together. I love their supporting cast. Again, Tobias Harris did a super job in Philadelphia. They wanted him out of Philadelphia because they were complaining about the amount of money he made. Other than that, he's doing a super job with them. Bickerstaff is putting himself in talks right now for early coach of the year, and I'm happy for him because he did a very good job in Cleveland. And they ran him out of there. Honestly, they ran him out. But he's doing a super job with these young guys. Again, I have Detroit winning the Eastern Conference Championship.
All right, so let's go to the West. 1, OKC, 2, Denver, 3, Lakers, 4, Spurs, 5, Rockets, 6, Suns. Hottest teams, OKC, Denver, and the Lakers. Danny, we're coming back to you. What are you thinking about the West right now?
The fact that it's only OKC and Denver that we need to worry about, because with LA, they have to work LeBron back into it. And everybody say LeBron can play with anybody and can play with any squad that he's pulling the floor with. But man, you missed a month And as much as we want to sit back and say, oh, it's LeBron is also 40-something years old. He's not that guy from his days, those early days in Cleveland and in Miami, who can come out and just play and think it's going to be okay. No, he has to work himself back into a rotation where you had Luka and Reeves pretty much carrying the load for this Lakers squad. And it wasn't just those two. Rui Hachimura was playing well. We were finally seeing the best version of DeAndre Ayton, the guy that we thought we were going to see in Phoenix, because he's playing with guys that give him confidence. And that's one thing, especially as a big man. If your guards have confidence in you, then damn, I got confidence in myself, because that means I know I'm going to put out my best effort on the floor. That means protecting the rim, rebounding the basketball, and making sure I finish around the rim. And he's been doing that phenomenally to start this season. Can't fit his way back into their rotation. That's not only question about that one.
And we're going to get into that in great detail. Coach Johnson, West, anybody catch your eye? Anything's going on in the Western Conference for you?
Unfortunately and naturally, OKC. I mean, what they're doing is history in the making right now with their start, 16-1. They've won 2 games, coming back from a minimum of 19 points down. Matter of fact, they won their last game down by 19, ended up winning by 30. That is unbelievable. They went on a 33-2 run in that game. 22 straight points. I mean, what they're doing, again, they have established a culture. They have established an identity. Everyone knows their roles, accepts it. They are a true model when you're talking to young people about looking at a team that fits and everyone is accepting and no one's jealous of who gets the credit. They're the team to emulate.
Yeah. So, Coach, I want to stay with you. So we have a number of teams right now who need to work guys back in or are losing guys to injury. Lakers have LeBron. The Bucks have Giannis out. Spurs got Wemby out, and I think maybe 1 or 2 other players. And of course, you know about your 76ers. It's a long season.
Yes.
Injuries happen. But 2 questions that I want you to take in any direction you want. Why do you think there are so many soft tissue injuries? And 2, how do you work guys back in? Because I'm sure it's something you're dealing with as an active coach. What are you thinking?
It is, and it's difficult because one of the reasons I don't think players play as much when they're not playing. You understand what I'm saying? I think guys, don't take care of their bodies. They figure I'm going to get in shape in preseason, exhibitions, and so forth. The minutes are too much for some of them on their body because they're not doing the little things. Listen, we know how much money LeBron spent in the offseason to work on his body, and yet he still had an injury problem that cost him a little more than a month. So a lot of these other guys are not close to investing in their bodies this way. And it's not just basketball. It's all sports right now. Guys are getting hurt. They're not eating right. They're not getting rest. Again, you're talking about, we hear stories of players, and we heard this for many years. Guys in go visit a city to play. They go out, they're out all night. They thinking they can get away with it. And next thing you know, they're hurt. I think those things, contribute to us on a college level. One of the problems we have as coaches with kids getting hurt, and that is because they definitely do not come to school in shape. I tell my guys all the time, you knew last summer you wanted to play college basketball. What did you do to get in shape? Again, I grew up with guys who was getting ready to play in the pros. They ran 2+ miles daily. They were in the gym. They lifted. These kids don't do that. Not consistently. They don't do that.
All right. So, Danny, I'm going to ask you from the player standpoint, and of the trainers. no disrespect. This is not a bum conversation. This is, hey, I had a chance to talk to a really good friend of mine, Sean Ford, one of the best trainers in the Washington metropolitan area, and he was helping me get a better understanding of a lot of things Coach Johnson said about nutrition, training, rest, playing too much, the minutes. Maybe the league should cut time off. And my response to him when he said that was Oklahoma City plays 12 and they don't have the same type of problem. So kill me with, all of this extra stuff. But Danny, from a player standpoint, what are you thinking about with the injuries and how to work guys back in?
I'll start with working guys back in as someone who has had, soft tissue knee injuries with my meniscus tears and my ACL injury when I was a freshman going to college. The difference is guys, I think nowadays do not spend enough time doing those quick twitch muscle workouts. We're so focused on the bigger muscle groups, and we're talking to trainers who focus on those muscle groups, but they don't focus on those joints. One of my guys who worked me out when after my last meniscus tear, his name was Bobby Epster. He was one of the guys who helped me rehab those knee injuries because he noticed a lot of things in my body that I was doing wrong, and he corrected it immediately. Ever since then, I haven't had any injuries since. And then to go to Coach's point, you're right. Guys aren't playing as much. What are they doing in the off season? And I mentioned this last episode. What are they doing in the off season that is coherent to what they're doing to get ready for the season? And it's crazy to me to see that we always talk about LeBron. Like you said, Coach said it best. LeBron spends all this amount of money on his body, right? And yet he had an injury that you mostly hear about guys that he got an old man's injury when you think about it with a sciatica injury.
Yes.
So what? I can't really explain it from an NBA standpoint because I know from a college standpoint, I was doing things in college. Once the season was over, we immediately took maybe like 2 weeks to rest. And then once those 2 weeks were over, we were back either in the gym, and I'm talking about the gym to lift weights, and then we were back on the field to either do agility movements and running and conditioning. So we were doing that from the time the season was over to the time the school year ended, took 2 weeks off, and then we revved it back up for off-season workouts during the summer. I think guys need to get back to putting more emphasis on those off-season training methods like Coach mentioned, because once the season comes around and you have these injuries, teams got to find a way to work you back into the rotation. We already mentioned LeBron, and can he do it? Now, I'm looking at from a Spurs standpoint, Wemby is young. But this is the second time Wemby has had an injury that has kept him out for an ample amount of time. If you go back to the blood clot, and now that wasn't an injury, that was more of a health issue. So this is really his first real injury. So this is a test for him. And then Stephen Castle's also out with a soft tissue injury. So what are guys doing to build their body up, not just from the bigger muscles, but from those smaller muscles that are important as athletes that we don't spend enough time on? And I don't think athletes spend enough time on those muscle groups at all. So I think once they get that figured out, they'll be okay.
Coach, I want to let you finish this segment off. You're active. You're in season. Any thoughts about working guys back in from injury?
Yes, and what Danny mentioned about the trainer, I rely heavy on our trainer. We have a very good trainer, and she's big on rehab days, off days, getting them on the bikes, getting them in the pool. And I let them know, if you get injured, I rely on her word in terms of when to bring you back, what you need to do. If you're not following her instructions, you don't want to play.
Uh-huh.
And I'm clear about that because you're not going to get re-hurt on our watch because we didn't follow the instructions of the trainer who is a professional when it comes to getting you well. But again, I just think that the other day I'm saying to my guys, my office is in the gym. I know who's in the gym. Our gym is open 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Our weight room is open. I know when guys are in there and the commitment is not there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what kids across the country, something's changed. Yes, a lot of them are more talented, skilled, but the commitment, again, we grew up loving a game. We couldn't live without it. I think more of them now like it. They like playing basketball. They're not in love with it.
Okay. All right, good stuff. So with that, in segment 2, a couple of prominent coaches had some early season meltdowns. I want to talk to the player, I want to talk to the coach, and see what's going on in November that has you stressed out. We'll be right back on the iCoaches Podcast. Hi, everyone. Dr. Keith Adams here, and for over 30 years, I've dedicated my life to helping student athletes succeed, not just on the fields and the courts, but in the classroom and beyond. And that's why I founded the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project understands that finding the balance between academics and athletics is crucial for long-term success. That's why the CKA Save Project offers a range of programs, including personalized consulting, mentorship, and coming in 2027, our innovative Gap Year Basketball Academy designed to assist both young men and women reach their full potential both on and off the court. I'm incredibly excited to announce that the CKA Save Project is now partnering with the Cascade Sports Network. This partnership will allow us the opportunity to amplify our message and reach even more student athletes through the Odd Coaches Podcast and other exciting initiatives. Join the CKA Save Project and the Cascade Sports Network as we empower the next generation of student athletes. Visit CKA on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org to learn more. Let's work together to find the balance and help unlock your potential. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast in segment 2. 1, it's too early for top 5s in college basketball. No. I'm not setting out a top 5 yet. Give me a couple of weeks, but I will be in Vegas for the Players Era Classic. So look for me at the Bellagio if you see me, because when this comes out, I'll be hanging out at the sports book strictly for entertainment purposes only. But with that, Kentucky, they got beat by Michigan State. And Tom Izzo is one of my favorite coaches. And bless Tom Izzo's heart, Tom Izzo reminds me of Terry Funk. Terry Funk wrestled in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s, and he kept reinventing himself, but he was still that ornery old, crazy old man. And Tom Izzo's teams are physical. They go punch you in the mouth. They got a local kid from here, Cam Long, I believe, award. Daddy will clean me up. But, man, they took it to Kentucky in an early season matchup. And instead of just taking this whooping and going back to the lab to get better, Mark Pope said something to the equivalent of, "I've clearly failed up until today, but we won't fail this season. I'm doing the job poorly. I won't do it poorly for much longer." Man, you lost a game to a good team. Practice tomorrow, 8 o'clock. Okay. So with that, UConn. Danny Hurley has had some challenges the last few years since winning back-to-back titles. And he said in his post-game press conference, losing to Arizona, a quality ball club. He didn't lose to the Sisters of the Poor. We got punked. It's going to be a bad film session coming out of here. There's a street fight going on in the paint, and men can't watch fights. You can't stand on the outside when your buddy's trying to fight. You get in a fight. You don't stand on the periphery of the fight. We'll see a lot of clips where we don't see the fight. Coach, I'm going to start with you. It's November, and yes, we want to win every game. That's what we want to do. But, man, these kids is a little different than before. What are you thinking about coaches in November going into the speech, catalog to speech number 73 already? Share your thoughts.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm there already in November. Seriously, I'm there already. And what happens is you realize, and I've said this openly to my team, you realize that as the head coach, you've overestimated some guys. And what happens is now you're seeing them live against other college dedicated athletes, and you realize this young man ain't as good as I think he is. He's not.
And you're yelling at the assistant who brought that fool in.
And you're realizing that I got a problem here. I got a problem here because problems, one of the things I love, especially about Division III, and it's also across, but in basketball, we are allowed to bring in athletes second semester. And I am personally bringing in their whole team second semester.
Man.
Oh, that's how bad it is, because you realize that you're not getting what you expected. Some of these young guys now, I remember when we lost games, you felt it. These kids nowadays lose games, you got to remind them, get the hell off of your phone.
Oh, man.
Show some emotion that you care. That's why they're having meltdowns. They're realizing that, wait a minute, this ain't 1980. This ain't this not even the early 2000s. These young kids, they play because, like I said, they like the game. There's a difference between like it and being in love with it.
All right, so Danny, coach is mad at you. Talk to me from your perspective in terms of Kentucky and UConn's coaches in November already, doom and gloom. Take me to the player's perspective.
From a player's perspective, I'm looking at coach and I'm absorbing what he's telling me. As a player, I'm thinking to myself, damn, what is really going on? Why are we losing the games like how we're losing? Like Michigan State, and when I say Michigan State out tough and out hustled Kentucky, that is exactly what happened. Because Michigan State did nothing different that they haven't done in the past. They pretty much outworked you, out-physicaled you, and out-toughed you on that court. And they did that with Kentucky. Because Kentucky's problem, they are a team of individuals, and they are not a team. That was Calipari's problem when he's bringing all these one-and-done guys. This is Pope's problem when he's bringing in all these guys from off the transfer portal. You're not forming them into a team. And as a player, I'm saying to myself, what do I need to do to fix this? Because this is a problem. If I can see a player, I know the coach can notice it. And if he's already talking about, man, I have failed these guys as a coach, I'm sitting thinking to myself, is it time for me to transfer? Because if you're saying this in November and we're 5 games into the season, and you're saying this in November, my man, it's not like you lost to I can't even think of a bad team on the Division I level. You lost to Michigan State, who has been routinely one of the best teams in the country. You lost to Louisville, who has built its way up to what they were back when I was in school. Louisville was always a tough matchup to watch play. It's not like you lost to it's not like you lost to Vanderbilt in conference play in February. You lost to 2 nationally ranked teams in November. Again, we're 5 games into the season. You shouldn't be talking like this. Now, with UConn, coach is right. Dan Hurley's right. I think it's a shame to watch guys, especially inside, not put up a fight. They got out rebounded on the defensive glass. Arizona was beating them everywhere on the glass on the offensive side of the floor. And you would think, as good as UConn's front line has always been over the past few years, you would think that would still be the case. It's not. So as a player, I need to sit back and I need to, one, look at myself first. Because I need to realize, what do I need to do? What part do I need to play in the grand scheme of things as the team for us to perform well? And then, so that's where I'm at.
Okay. I got to push back small. I'm smiling the whole time. One, both teams, you pick the groceries. Whatever problem you have. That's why I loved coaching in college more than high school. I got to bring in whoever I wanted to bring in, and we did it wide-eyed and understanding. So if you didn't do your homework, and if you just went on star rankings, Colorado, Dion, football, and you just looked at where guys were from and said, now we've got all of these stars, that means you didn't do your scouting, you didn't do your recruiting, you didn't do your due diligence, and wait for it, fans of Dr. Adams, you didn't Scooby-Doo. You didn't solve the mysteries that you didn't know were mysteries. So now we're here, we're playing, and Coach Johnson does it better than anybody that I know. We start planning for the season long before the season starts. We look at our opponents, we look at how we want to play, and we do all of our off-season workouts, and everything has to be aligned. And if you're not aligned, you failed. So this early in the season, this is when you're quiet. This is when you're very canned, very boring with, that was not our best performance. We're going to look at the film, and we'll get better. Next question. Very Belichick. Once you're in the second round of conference play, late January, early February, that's when you're public with your disappointment, because right now, this time of season, you're private with your disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
You're always going to defend your players because, wait for it, I don't want the next batch of players like Danny to say, I don't want to come here. When Danny came on recruiting visits, I said, Danny, I need you to sit behind the bench, because I need you to see how you're going to be coached. Following when he was playing, and we sat behind George Mason's bench. We sat behind Maryland's bench, and there was no way he was going to let Gary Williams talk to him that way, but that's another story. But you've got to see how we coach, how we instruct, how we do all of those things. So, yeah, fellas, it's a little too early for doom and gloom. You picked all these guys. That means you and your staff picked wrong, and you got to get better, not the team, because your team is what it is. And now let's see how good you can be. And Izzo's a great example of teams just getting better as the season goes on, not getting worse. So let's see you guys get better. And with that, in segment 3, we're going to talk WNBA, CBA negotiations. It's almost to the November 30th deadline. You don't have a deal yet. We'll be right back on the Our Coaches Podcast.
Today's student athletes face pro-level challenges without pro-level support. The CKA SAVE project is here to change that. For 16 plus years, Dr. Keith Adams and his team have provided comprehensive academic and athletic support from middle school through post-graduation transitions. NIL guidance, transfer portal navigation, academic coaching, career planning, they've got it covered. The CKA SAVE project. When your future is on the line, experience matters. Learn more at www.ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Our Coaches Podcast in segment 3. The 30-day extension for the WNBA CBA negotiations is fastly coming to an end. So let me tell the audience again, reset it, what the priorities are. Salary, we want more money. Now, they're going to get more money, but they're not close to the numbers that they can agree to. 2, establishing minimum professional standards in terms of facility and codifying the league's charter program. Travel is an issue. The league said it wants to increase player salaries, but you also got to maintain the budget. So they're like, yes, but. Okay, this is the yes, but to get you. 3, expanding retirement and pregnancy and family planning benefits are also an issue for the players. Yes, you've got to take care of them. 4, prioritization. That is just a set of rules that requires WNBA players competing in other leagues to show up in time for the WNBA training camp. 5, players have also expressed a desire to weaken or abolish entirely the core system, which is like the NFL's franchise tag, which was already reduced in the past CBA. But the league is unlikely to want to give that up because it provides teams the opportunity to develop and retain drafted players. I tell people who work with me all the time, college, you can move so much that the first time you have to stay somewhere is often your first professional contract if you're that lucky. The league's hard cap and 12-player roster limits, and many teams only carry 11 players, often frustrate team personnel as well. Kathy Engelbert, the WNBA commissioner, has previously said the league prefers expansion as a way to grow. And another topic is games scheduling. And the league would like to try to stick to the May through October schedule with some overlap into November. But the WNBA will break for the FIBA World Cup. You also have Project B and Unrivaled. And those are kind of, hiccups in the situation with it. You also have draft eligibility. When will we let college players come in, or do we want to be like the NBA and make sure the old heads are taken care of? Coach Johnson, from your perspective, what are you thinking about the WNBA CBA negotiations? You got a lot of input in. They've got to get a deal done. What are you thinking from your standpoint as a coach?
Well, I think what the players are, asking for is not unreasonable. I saw the numbers in terms of new minimums, new maximum, but what they want is a promise that as the league grows, the money will grow, as in the NBA. And that is reasonable. These young ladies are talented. It is truthfully disgusting when you hear the salaries they currently make right now. It's terrible based on the product we're getting. So again, when you're talking about going from a minimum, what $66,000, $76,000 to $220, that jump says to you there's money out there. That jump tells you there will be continued growth. Now, if I'm understanding right, they're talking about a minimum $220,000 with a maximum for one person per team, I think like $1.1 million, something of that nature. There's money out there. Again, I think they need to come to an agreement that fits everyone. But again, as we know, the important things for them is facilities, travel, because travel is important. Nobody wants to, if you're a pro athlete, you do not want to fly commercial. You do not want to fly commercial. They want to have proper facilities. So again, I think they will meet the deadline of November the 30th, but I think there's a lot of work to be done.
All right, Danny, a lot of input, and for the last few weeks, you've gotten more information than probably the players have in terms of the negotiated items. What are you thinking about what you're seeing now as the deadline approaches for the contract negotiations with the CBA?
I agree, because the money is there for the minimums and maximums to increase for these players. I think where my focus, my eyes opened up, was this draft eligibility information, because I don't think players should be. I still think the NBA need to go back to, you need to be 3 years removed from college, from high school graduation. And I'm only saying it because we're looking at these 18, 19-year-old guys coming into the league, and they're not mentally ready for the pro game. And not to say that these women won't be ready. It's just I'm going off of what I've seen off of the past. So I think they need to really not focus on that right now and just focus on the money aspect of everything, because expansion can only do so much. Because you can expand all you want, It's just a matter of, are those teams going to bring in enough money that is going to generate more funds for the player? So right now, you need to focus on what you have right now. Expansion will come down the line. You already got one team starting next year, and they're already getting off the ground running. But you need to get that money aspect figured out because, like Coach said, to jump from $66,000 for a minimum up to $220,000, again, the money is there. So that begs the question in my mind: what are you doing with the money? That's the key thing. That's the only question that's been running through my mind ever since seeing all this. What are you doing with all this money if you're jumping from that low to almost $250,000 pretty much?
Yes. That's a huge jump. A huge jump.
So I'm going to be management right now. I don't mind taking that side. You've got two types of owners. You got the billionaire owner and you got the mom and pop owner. And the mom and pop owner who's been there 25 years is now starting to see a profit, but they're still in a deficit. You've had a couple of good years, but there's a lot of lean years in the past, and I'm trying to recruit that. Then you got the owners like Brooklyn who's got loot, whatever. This is not my primary way of making money. This is a piece of my portfolio, and that's how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it as a piece of my portfolio, not a social movement change that can enhance, women for the next 50 years. When I look at it, it's nice. Here's a plane ticket or two. So there has to be a balance. There has to be sustainability, and two things can happen. I don't think they're going to follow the NFL model where a place like Green Bay has just as much of a shot to win as New York or LA. But they need to get close to that because you also have to think about the college piece. Young ladies coming in can stay 4 years, build their brand or whatever, and then they take a pay cut coming into the league.
Yes, they
kind of how we don't want to, do it. And the players also have, for some, the option of Project B and Unrivaled. Not everybody has those options. As we talked about last week, the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th person holding on to a roster spot, Unrivaled's not calling them.
Right.
Project B ain't calling them. And they're the people you have to fight for in labor negotiations as well. So management's going to use that against the big uns. And there's your fight right there. So with that being said, Coach, please respond to my management take in terms of that's how I'm going to weaken you. I'm going to go after 8, 9, and 10. And 1 through 6, y'all fine. Great. I'm going to get 8, 9, and 10 to think like me. What do you think, Coach?
I think that collectively 8, 9, and 10 won't think like you. I think they are all bought in terms of what the players want. I think they've done a good job of staying together, uniting, so to speak, in terms of this is what we want. We're not budging because they're going the 1 through 6 will convince 8 through 10, 7 through 10 that this is for you as well. And again, $220,000 a year from 76 is a huge life change. It's a huge life change. They're able to do some things, put some money away, especially when you consider that the length of the career might be for some at the bottom end, 3 to 5 years, if that. So again, that's a huge life change. So I don't see them selling out.
All right.
Selling out.
Danny, you're a player. Did I make you pause? Because you've been in locker rooms and you know who's got a membership pass and who doesn't. What do you think as we wrap this up?
As a player, as much as we focus on 8, 9, and 10, I need to look at those incoming girls coming in because they're going to be fully affected. So you can sit there and tell me all you want about, the numbers and trying to get 8, 7 through 10 to buy in. As much as you want to buy in 7 through 10, man, that young group is coming in and we need to make sure they're well taken care of as well. Because like you said, they're staying for 3 and 4 years and making millions of dollars. they're taking a pay cut coming to the WNBA almost.
Yes,
So
they are.
we need to find a way to make sure they're taken care of as well. Because I can sit back and convince 8, 7 through 10, look, this is as much as benefit.
This is a good deal. This is good. This is money right now. And these girls are coming in to take your space. And they're already got money. And you missed making money in college. So this is your income.
But coach, here's the thing you're missing with
Again,
that,
we're negotiating. We're
negotiating.
doing scenarios like a classroom setting.
But the problem is this though. Look at a team like Golden State, the Valkyries. They had no young girls on their team that was a rookie that they drafted. They were all let go from the team. So again, we can convince 7 through 10. That's easy. We need to make sure these young players coming in are protected as well. So this is why this is important that you stick with us. We are going to make sure you are fully compensated and better paid than what you were in the past, while making sure these young girls coming in are also taken care of.
I love it. I love it. We will definitely follow it. And again, young teachers, this is how a classroom is supposed to work. Use two sides of the issue and allow a conversation to take place without screaming and hollering and using data to back you up. All right. So with that, it's our favorite holiday in terms of just that other holiday coming up in a few weeks, very commercialized. Okay. Tell me what you're getting me. This, in terms of Thanksgiving, is just an opportunity to do whatever you can for a small bit of time to have a meal together, put the phone down, and spend a little time before you pick the phone back up and go on about your lives. But you do rush to get to insert person's house, wherever it is. You do take the time to pause, think about what you're making, or think about what you're going to bring in. Honey baked ham is awesome. I'll just bring in some loose ham and keep it, and everybody will say, thanks, that's your contribution. And my head coach, the late great Hank Galata, used to say, hey, you've got the ability to run, jump, do a lot of things that a lot of people couldn't do. His office was intentionally in the special needs section of our high school. So every day, just walking down the hall, we used to see folks who had to struggle and just didn't have it as good as we did. And as you see, fans, that message resonated so much with me that every year I used to tell my players, hey, pause. You're usually at practice or something. You're very busy. Let's not be busy. Let's just be present and enjoy. So, gentlemen, I hope you have a wonderful holiday. I will be in Vegas, of course, because I'm spending time with my wife there, joys of co-parenting. So on behalf of our cavalcade of stars, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches Podcast, the authentic voice of sports leadership, where coaching wisdom meets real talk, also seen on the Cascade Sports Network. And we will see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches Podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Follow the Odd Coaches Podcast on the X platform at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Keith Adams and the CKA Save Project on social media at CKA Save Project. For more information about the CKA Save Project, visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.